Good afternoon. This is Lisa Kraft. I've just had the opportunity to read our May tribal newspaper online at potawatomi.org. And may I just say, I'm flattered. I'm flattered that there are so many endorsements and paid advertisements for Mr. Barrett. In my mind, it shows that they're a little bit scared. They're a little bit worried that Lisa Kraft just might take the vote on June 26th. In fact, I think it's ironic that the out-of-state legislators have just made my point. They are paid lobbyists for Mr. Barrett. Short and sweet. I would even go so far to say is they've probably disenfranchised half of their voter base. So what they've done is draw a line in the sand that as your elected representative outside of Oklahoma, they're supporting Mr. Barrett. Not me. They're supporting Mr. Barrett. So you already know what party affiliation they are. So we are above national politics and Republican and Democrat. You hope that when you elect one of us into office, that we are unbiased, that we're representing all tribal members to better their life. That is our constitutional mandate. It's not to pick favorites, who we like better over here on the council or who we dislike. That's not how our system is set up. So just so we all know, that of the 16-member legislature, 11 votes can swing any decision to bring services to members outside of Oklahoma. There are 8 that are outside of Oklahoma and the 3 executives which sit within the Oklahoma 8. So you have 11 votes that for 14 years could have brought you the services that you were asking for, or at least to brainstorm, think of ways, look at grants, look at sustainable businesses that could actually expand services. So that has not been done by design. The 8 legislators outside of Oklahoma are in the chairman's pocket. And when I say that, they get paid more than Oklahoma legislators. They get paid for nonprofits that they spun up in the course of their public service. That they vote budgets in, that they in turn get donations for their projects. And granted, they may be great projects, but the purpose of a lawmaker is to introduce law that benefits and betters more people, not creates political capital so that they can stay in power and keep getting elected into office. Our Kansas representative is a quasi-property manager for our Rossville housing, elder housing. So he does get benefits outside of everybody else. So they get their offices paid for, they get cultural activities paid for, they get travel paid for, they get utilities paid for to maintain their home operations. Oklahoma legislators don't. And for Mr. Whistler to think that he knows what the tribal chairman makes, he's only one of 16 because no one else seems to know what the executive branch makes. And on that, there is a standing resolution by General Counsel. General Counsel being 18 and older, those members, when they convene by roll call to make sure there is 5% of them in a meeting, they can transact business. That's why the people are over the government. And 8501 clearly said they want a transitional government that is not paid. They didn't want paid lawmakers because they didn't want career politicians. So for Chairman Barrett to say that he didn't get paid for 11 years, well, that's kind of funny because he's supposed to be such an astute businessman. So if you run for a job you're not going to get paid for, that's one thing. But to do it 3 times and then blame the general counsel for not paying him, that's just not good business sense, right? So there are some discrepancies in what the out-of-state legislators are saying in their paid advertisements in support of Mr. Barrett. I hope you see through that. Because what sometimes happens in these kinds of situations and in such a heated campaign, I like to think of it as fishing. Sometimes you cast a line and it's baited, and sometimes a fish bites and sometimes they don't. In this case, Mr. Barrett bit twice in this May paper. I'm pretty happy about that because he alludes to him doubling the size of First National Bank and Trust of Shawnee, our bank. Mentions it twice. So on April 30th, which was last Friday here in Oklahoma, one of our major news stations, K4, reported that our tribe had just pledged to purchase a bank and its subsidiary in Oklahoma City and Del City. 2 years ago, that bank was estimated to cost or be valued at about $33 million. I don't know what its value is today, but the interesting thing is the 3 executives sit on the bank board and have unilaterally made a decision to pledge buying this bank outside of law. So thank you for biting on that, Mr. Barrett, because you exposed yourself. You are the executive branch. You are not the lawmaking branch. And in this case, you acted outside of law, which is misappropriation of $33 million. I talked to 2 Oklahoma legislators in the last 2 days, and neither one of them knew what in the world I was talking about. So there is no resolution approving you to purchase or obligate our nation at a time like this, the uncertainties of COVID. You've pledged that our bank is going to be spending tens of millions of dollars outside of law. So if that is the business person you want running our nation, who has no accountability, no transparency in the billions of dollars we have had during his tenure, let alone how could a lawmaking body make such a substantial decision not having financial audits for 4 years? So I just want to say I'm flattered. I'm flattered that every single lawmaker outside of Oklahoma put their paid ad in support of Mr. Barrett. So apparently, if you are represented by one of those lawmakers, you're either for me or against me. And so as an unbiased representative, they've just made it very clear where they stand. So I hope you take that and ask some hard questions of them. Thank you very much for your time. Bye.